There is a moment in every cover-up when the person doing the covering stops pretending to cooperate. That moment happened yesterday, on camera, in front of the entire United States Senate. And the woman at the center of it was Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, who sat at that table, looked senators in the eye, and refused to answer a yes or no question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. Before I ask you a few questions, I want to call everyone's attention again to this fundraising email signed by the President that Senator Kelly mentioned earlier, in which the President of the United States invites his campaign donors to, quote, claim your spot, join now to receive private national security briefings to his political donors, featuring a photo of the President at a dignified transfer ceremony with a flag-draped coffin of an American service member killed in action returning to their family. And the American people need to know that the President of the United States is fundraising for his political campaign and his PAC using images of American service members killed in action, and it's a disgrace.
That fundraising email is real. The president used a photo of a flag-draped coffin of a fallen service member to ask donors for money. That's the backdrop this hearing started against. But the senator wasn't done, because next he did something very deliberate. He walked Gabbard through her own job description, step by step, and got her to agree to every single part of it. Watch why that matters.
Now, Director Gabbard, I'd like to reground this in your core responsibilities. Under the law, you are responsible for providing national intelligence to the President, correct?
Yes.
And to the heads of executive branch departments and agencies, yes?
Yes.
And to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and senior military commanders?
Across the IC, yes.
And to the Senate and the House and relevant committees, correct?
Yes.
And the law states that the national intelligence you provide to Congress, quote, should be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations, correct?
Yes.
And you noted in your opening statement you're here fulfilling a statutory responsibility and that your testimony, quote, represents the IC's assessment of threats,
That's right.
Correct?
Did you catch that? He made her say yes to everything. Timely, objective, independent of political considerations. Her words, under oath. Now, here is what her own intelligence community assessed about Iran in her own written opening statement submitted the night before. Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated. There has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. And here is what the White House said on March 1st to justify launching a military strike, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Obliterated, no effort to rebuild, but also imminent threat. Both can't be true. And the senator was about to make her choose.
That opening statement, as submitted to the committee in advance of this hearing, stated that as a result of last summer's airstrikes, quote, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And is that in fact the assessment of the intelligence community?
Yes.
So the assessment of the intelligence community is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated by last summer's airstrikes?
Yes.
And the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yeah.
She just confirmed it. The IC said, program obliterated, no rebuilding effort. Those are her words. That is the official intelligence assessment. Now, the senator moves in for the kill. He puts the White House's claim right next to the IC's assessment and asks the only logical question. Watch how many times she refuses to answer.
Yes.
The White House stated on March 1st of this year that this war was launched and was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False.
and
This
he
is the
made that
worldwide worldwide threats hearing where you present to Congress national intelligence, timely, objective, and independent of political considerations.
Stop. She just said the only person who can determine an imminent threat is the president. That is not what he asked. He didn't ask who makes the final call on military action. He asked what the intelligence community assessed. She knows the difference. She is choosing not to answer. The senator calls it out directly. Watch.
You've stated today that the intelligence community's assessment is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated and that, quote, there had been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. Was it the intelligence community's assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
Okay.
That is up to
Here's
the
the
president
problem.
based on a volume
No,
of
it is
information
precisely
that he receives.
it is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. This is the worldwide threats hearing where, as you noted in your opening testimony, quote, you represent the IC's assessment of threats. You are here to represent the IC's assessment of threats. That's a quote from your own opening statement. And so my question is, as you're here to present the IC's assessment of threats, was it the assessment of the intelligence community that, as the White House claimed on March 1st, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
Once again, Senator, the intelligence community has provided the inputs that make up this annual threat assessment.
You won't answer the
It is
question.
the nature of the imminent threat that the president has to make that determination based on a collection and volume
You're here
of
to be
information and
timely.
intelligence that he is provided with.
You're here to be timely, objective, and independent of political considerations.
Exactly what I'm doing.
No, you're evading a question because to provide a candid response to the committee would contradict a statement from the White House.
Read that last line one more time. You're evading a question because to provide a candid response would contradict a statement from the White House. A senator just accused the Director of National Intelligence of protecting the White House from its own intelligence community in a Senate hearing, on camera, under oath. And she sat there and said, exactly what I'm doing. No, what she is doing is telling Congress, I will not give you the truth if the truth embarrasses the president. That is the opposite of her legal mandate. She agreed, on the record 2 minutes earlier, that her job is to be independent of political considerations. And then she proved she isn't. But the Iran cover is only half the story, because the senator had one more subject to cover, and this one is even harder to explain away.
So let me ask you about your presence in Fulton County on January 28th of this year. You were present at the FBI's raid on the Fulton County Elections Office on January 28th, correct?
I was present for part of the FBI exercising a warrant approved by a municipal judge.
Yes,
to
and the
obtain
FBI was there executing
investigation.
that warrant to seize ballots and materials associated with the 2020 election, correct?
Yes.
And are you aware that members of this committee have already opened inquiries into your election-related activities?
Yes.
And are you aware that your general counsel and deputy general counsel have already provided testimony to this committee regarding those activities?
Yes.
The Director of National Intelligence at a domestic FBI raid on a county elections office to seize ballots from the 2020 election. That is not her job. That has never been her job. The DNI does not supervise domestic criminal warrant executions. So why was she there? The senator already had the answer, because she put it in writing herself.
On February 2nd, you sent a letter to Senator Warner regarding your presence at the raid. Was that letter accurate?
I don't recall the exact date, but if I sent a letter that had my signature, it was accurate.
You stated in the letter that your presence at the raid was, quote, requested by the president, correct?
Yes.
When did the president request your presence at the raid?
The day of the raid, the warrant execution commencing.
The day of the raid.
Yes.
He called you on the phone?
I'm not going to disclose how the message was delivered, but it was a request from the president and his administration to go and help oversee this warrant being executed along with the Deputy Director of the FBI.
Is it your
and
role to
thank
oversee?
the FBI agents who were conducting
Is it
this
your
warrant.
role to oversee the execution of criminal warrants?
It is my role, based on statute that Congress has passed, to have oversight over election security, to include counterintelligence.
But you said
to
you
include
oversaw the raid, correct? You just testified you oversaw the raid?
portions of it.
Okay. Did you handle any ballots or election-related materials?
No.
You were inside an FBI evidence truck, correct? You were photographed inside an FBI evidence
It was an
truck.
empty truck, yes.
She won't say how the president reached her. She won't say what they discussed. She will only say he told her to go and she went. On the same day, the warrant is executing. The president calls somehow, and the director of national intelligence gets in her car and drives to Georgia to stand inside an FBI evidence truck. An empty truck, she says. And her general counsel and her deputy general counsel have already been questioned by this committee about her election activities. The paper trail exists. The lawyers have already talked.
The president stated, quote, you looked at
Senator's time has
votes that
expired.
wanted to be checked out.
The
Is that
senator's
accurate?
time is expired.
Did you look at votes as the president
Senator
stated?
Ossoff, your time has expired.
You respond
You
for
can
the
have
record?
her. No, she cannot respond
No,
because
for the record, will the director please respond for the record to that question is my
I'm happy
question.
to respond to questions for the record.
The president said publicly that his DNI looked at votes. Her words, under oath for the record, still haven't come. In one hearing, Tulsi Gabbard refused to confirm whether the IC assessed an imminent nuclear threat, the same threat the White House used to justify a military strike. She confirmed the president personally directed her to show up to a domestic FBI raid seizing 2020 ballots. She confirmed she was inside an FBI evidence truck. And when asked whether she looked at votes, the clock ran out. This committee has already questioned her lawyers. The paper trail is there, the transcripts are there. The only question now is whether anyone in that building is willing to do something with them. Drop a comment. Do you think this gets buried, or does someone actually follow through? Subscribe if you want to keep watching this get unpacked, because we are not done.